Okay, I want you to just close your eyes for a second. Go back to, I don't know, 4th grade.
Oh, boy.
Right. You're sitting in one of those hard plastic chairs, and you're staring at a pull-down map of the world. The teacher's tapping the Atlantic with a ruler, and you all chant the rhyme.
In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Exactly. It's ingrained in us. It's the starter pack for modern history. We see the 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, and they're like little toy boats moving across this, this blue sheet of paper.
It's the ultimate satellite view of history, isn't it? We see the map from hundreds of years in the future. We see the lines connecting Europe and the Americas, and we think of it as a chess move.
A chess move, yes, or a shift in economics, a change in the global power structure. It's all so clean, so academic. And that clean academic view, honestly, it drives me crazy sometimes because it misses the sweat. It misses the terror.
And the smell.
God, the smell. It misses the fact that those toy boats were actually these cramped, awful places full of unwashed bodies and fear just floating into what they genuinely thought might be the end of the world.
We forget they were just people.
Yes. They weren't historical figures yet. They were just guys. Guys who were scared and bored and probably angry and, well, human.
And that is precisely where the historians usually stop and the novelists begin. The official logs of the Santa Maria. They'll tell you the wind speed, the compass heading.
But they won't tell you what the captain was dreaming about.
Or who he was secretly longing for, no.
Which is exactly why we're here today. We're taking a deep dive into a source that tries to color in those margins of the logbook. We're looking at a novella called Veil of Destiny, a Genoese captain's forbidden Caribbean love.
That's quite a title.
It is. It's by an author called StoryBuddiesPlay. And look, I know what you might be thinking. Historical romance. Is this just going to be heaving bosoms and ripping shirts?
It is a fair question. But if you actually look at how the source material positions itself, it seems to be doing something, well, a little more ambitious.
How so?
It promises a blend of, and I'm quoting, authentic historical detail with high-stakes adventure. So it's trying to use the vehicle of romance to explore the actual real tension of the Age of Discovery.
It's a mashup then, right? Because the metadata lists it as fiction, historical, and romance, but then it also says sea stories, action, adventure, and even Renaissance fiction. That's a lot of flavors in one pot.
It is, and that creates a really unique texture. Sea stories implies this battle against the elements, storms, starvation, the sheer crushing isolation of the ocean.
Okay.
Renaissance implies the intellectual baggage these men brought with them, the art, the science, the religion of 15th century Europe.
And then romance just throws a grenade into all of that.
Exactly. It introduces personal, irrational passion into this very structured, very dangerous world.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We want to see if a fictional story about a Genoese captain falling in love can actually get us closer to the truth of 1492 than the textbooks ever did. Can this Veil of Destiny reveal something the maps can't?
I think it can. You know what they say, fiction is often the lie that tells the truth.
All right, let's unpack the setting first, because the source material doesn't just say the ocean. It very explicitly sets the backdrop as the Age of Discovery and Conquest. And I feel like we need to pause on those 2 words.
Discovery and Conquest.
Yeah. They sit right next to each other, but they feel very, very different.
They're the twin engines of the era, but they pull in completely opposite directions. Discovery is the Renaissance ideal. It's curiosity, mapping the stars, finding what's new. That's the romantic side.
Right.
But conquest is the brutal reality. It implies domination, extraction, violence. The source material says this is a time where passion and peril collide.
And physically, we are on Columbus's fleet. The text names the ships: Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria. But it also uses this phrase that, I don't know, give me a little chill: uncharted Caribbean waters.
That phrase is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
It is, right? Because today, uncharted just means, like, the Wi-Fi signal is weak. We have GPS, we have satellites, we know exactly what's around the corner.
But for the characters in this book, uncharted is a psychological horror element. You have to remember the mindset of 1492.
Sea monsters.
Genuine fears of sea monsters, of boiling waters near the equator, of just sailing off the edge of the world. To be a sailor on that voyage was to volunteer for a potential suicide mission.
So when the book talks about peril, it's not just, oh, it might rain a bit. It's existential dread.
Precisely. And that environment, that pressure cooker of fear, is the perfect catalyst for high emotion. When you're living on the edge of death, you don't make small talk.
No casual relationships.
None. Everything is heightened. The bonds you form become incredibly intense very quickly because you just don't know if you'll see the sunrise.
That makes so much sense. It's like that movie Speed, but on a wooden boat in the 1400s. The adrenaline basically creates the romance.
In a way, yes. The isolation forces connection.
Speaking of connection, let's meet the man in the middle of this storm. The protagonist is Captain Marco Valente. Now, here's where it gets really interesting for me. The author didn't just make him a random Spanish sailor.
No.
The title and the text specify he is a Genoese captain.
And that is a crucial detail. It is not just flavor text.
Okay, tell me why. Because Columbus was Genoese, right? Cristoforo Colombo. So wouldn't it be pretty normal to have a Genoese captain?
Normal, maybe. But comfortable? Absolutely not. You have to look at the politics of that fleet. Columbus was a total outsider. He was from Genoa, pitching his wild idea to the Spanish monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella. The money was Spanish, the ships were Spanish, and most importantly, the crews were Spanish Castilians and Basques, who were, known for being tough and proud.
So the crew is essentially looking at the admiral and thinking, who is this Italian guy telling us where to go?
Exactly. Yeah. There was historically a massive amount of friction and xenophobia on those ships. The Spanish crew deeply distrusted the Genoese leadership. So by making our protagonist, Marco Valente, Genoese captain, the author instantly isolates him.
He's in charge, but he's alone.
He's alone in a crowd of people who might mutiny if he makes one wrong move. He probably speaks a dialect they mock. He has a cultural heritage that just sets him completely apart.
That sets up his internal conflict so much better. The source says Marco is torn between duty and his growing passion. When I first read duty, I just thought, doing his job.
Sure.
But based on what you just said, duty sounds a lot more like survival.
It is survival. His duty is to the Spanish crown and to the mission. If he fails, or if he shows a moment of weakness, his career is over. And frankly, his life might be too. A Genoese captain who fails a Spanish mission, he has no safety net.
So the pressure is at an 11, and then boom, the catalyst, the source introduces the love interest, a mysterious indigenous woman.
And here is where the conquest part of the discovery and conquest theme really hits home.
The text calls it a forbidden love that defies empires and challenges beliefs. Now, usually when I hear forbidden love, I think, oh, her dad hates him, or, they're from rival high schools.
Right.
But defies empires, that feels huge.
Because in this context, it is huge. It's political. Think about the mandate of that fleet. They were there to claim territory, to claim resources, claim people. The entire psychological framework of the expedition relied on othering the indigenous population.
You don't date the subjects.
You certainly don't view them as your equals. For Marco, a captain of the invading force, to fall in love with an indigenous woman, not just use her, but truly love her, that's a radical act. It completely subverts the hierarchy of the empire.
He's humanizing someone that the mission needs him to dehumanize.
Yes. To justify the conquest.
Wow, so the forbidden part isn't just social, it's almost treasonous.
It's a treason of the heart against the state. The source tags the book as multicultural and cultural heritage fiction, which suggests the author, StoryBuddiesPlay, is very interested in that clash. It's not just two bodies, it's two entire cosmologies colliding.
He brings the Renaissance, the church, the steel.
Yeah.
She brings a connection to the land and a spiritual framework he's never even encountered.
It's basically the moment where the map breaks. Marco has a map for the ocean, but he has no map for this interaction.
Which is why the source claims this relationship forever alters the course of history. I wanted to ask you about that line because, look, we know the history. We know what happened in the Caribbean. It wasn't a romance novel. It was a tragedy. So is the book selling us a fantasy? Is it just pretending the bad stuff didn't happen?
I don't think so. I think it's offering a counter-narrative or maybe a shadow narrative. We tend to view history as this inevitable steamroller. The ships arrive, the conquest happens, end of story. But fiction, like Veil of Destiny, asks us to zoom in on the moments of hesitation. The moments where individuals made choices that didn't make it into the history books.
The what-if factor.
Exactly. What if a Genoese captain and a Taino woman found a common language? What if an alliance was formed that delayed a conflict, or saved a village, or changed the soul of just one man? It reminds us that history isn't just troop movements, it's made of millions of individual decisions.
That makes me think of the title itself, Veil of Destiny. A veil hides things, right? It obscures.
It does, but a veil is also thin. It suggests that the destiny we know, the history we learn in school, might just be the layer on top. And beneath that veil, there's the human reality, the secrets.
And the source also promises that this story will leave readers breathless.
Which speaks to the pacing.
Yeah, let's talk about the logistics for a second. The source notes the estimated number of pages is 73. That is lean.
Very lean.
Not a doorstop novel.
No, it's a novella. And honestly, for a story like this, I think that length is a strength.
You think so?
I do. We're talking about action and adventure, sea stories, passion, and peril. Those are high-energy states. You can't sustain a heart-pounding storm or a forbidden secret romance for 800 pages without it starting to drag.
True.
A novella is a sprint. It mimics the intensity of the voyage itself.
You get in, you get the adrenaline, you get the heartbreak, and you get out.
Precisely. The source also mentions Ultra HQ cover art, so it's emphasizing the visual spectacle. The whole package seems designed to be an immersive, intense experience. It's not a lecture, it's a ride.
And for anyone listening who wants to take that ride, the source lists it on StoryBuddiesPlay, Gumroad, PayHip, and it says it's coming soon to Apple Books. So it's out there.
And it's accessible in terms of time commitment, too. It's a deep dive you can finish in a single evening.
So we have a Genoese outsider, a mysterious woman who represents a whole new world, and a ship that's basically a wooden pressure cooker floating in the absolute unknown. That's a lot of stakes for 73 pages.
It is, but that is the beauty of the genre, I think.
You know, as we're unpacking this, I just keep going back to that nursery rhyme, the toy boats in the classroom.
The sanitized version.
Yeah. And I feel like even though Veil of Destiny is fiction, it does something really important. It forces us to acknowledge that the people on those boats were people. They weren't robots programmed to discover America.
No.
They were guys like Marco who were probably terrified, questioning their orders, and just desperate for something real to hold on to.
It restores their humanity, and frankly, it also restores the humanity of the indigenous people they encountered by framing the female lead not as a statistic or a passive victim, but as a protagonist with agency, with power over the heart of the invader.
It just changes the camera angle. Instead of the satellite view, we're right there on the beach or in the captain's cabin.
And that perspective shift is so valuable. Even if the specific story of Marco Valente is invented, the emotional truth it points to, that fear and love and duty were warring inside of everyone in 1492, that is real.
It leads me to a thought I've been mulling over since we started digging into this source material. The source says that their love forever alters the course of history.
Which, as we said, is a bold claim.
Extremely bold. But if we accept that premise for a second, it makes you wonder about the silence of the archives.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we assume we know history because we have the logs. We have the letters the captains wrote back to the kings. But you don't write your secrets in the official log. You don't write, day 45, I think the empire's wrong, and I'm in love with the enemy.
No, you definitely leave that part out if you want to keep your head.
Exactly. So it makes you wonder, how many real Veil of Destiny stories are out there? How many secret alliances, how many forbidden romances, how many moments of genuine human connection actually did happen in 1492 or 1776 or 1945?
Stories that genuinely shape the outcomes we live with today, but were just left to the sea because they were never written down.
Right. Maybe the most important parts of history, the human parts, are the ones we'll never get to read in a textbook. That's what this novella makes me think about.
It's the history of the heart. And it leaves no paper trail.
And that is a fascinating place to leave it. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Keep looking past the map.